one of the best finishes of the year. What are you going to be looking for out of the 45 car today to do the same thing tomorrow?
Well, hopefully, we don't have to, stay on old tires and win the race that way again. But nevertheless, I think today, it's just about kind of searching around, kind of just validating the car is doing everything you want it to do. Obviously, it is great to, when practice is all said and done, look at the averages and have the fastest car. But I think for us today, it's more about just learning and understanding what our car is capable of and what we think we need to work on for Sunday.
All right, good luck in practice. Larry Mack, our crew chief, what do you got for us?
Well, Regan, we run 7 races at 1.5 mile tracks at 5 different 1.5 mile. But this one is totally different from the rest of them. It's like racing on a piece of 80 grit sandpaper. And these teams have one set of Goodyear tires. The goal is to make a long run. If you try to make a short run and make changes, you'll just start chasing yourself. But guys, the biggest thing, they'll evaluate long run, short run. But a driver once told me, for every long run, I got a short run too. I need to be good at both.
All right, thanks, Larry. 2 groups, Group 1 and Group 2. The field is split in half. 37 cars here, the 36 charter cars, plus J.J. Yaley in the 44 is the one open car to compete.
To Larry's point right there, Kevin, that's what the trickiest part about this racetrack for me is, to be good on a long run, we want to get that air pressure as low as possible. I want to be as free as possible to keep that car as neutral as possible on the long run, not let it get tight where I have a lot of wheel in it and the thing, slow and dragging lap time down. That being said, that is not very good for a short run and holding your own on a restart. That's very tricky to be good on a short run and be good on a long run as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Some new colors for Denny Hamlin here. Now, their hauler had been mostly blank all season so far, and they've signed Progressive to an 18-race deal. And for me, I guess the biggest surprise is that Joe Gibbs Racing would be that deep into the season with one of its best cars with 18 unsold races. But that's over now. They are the primary sponsor for the 11 for the season.
And their logo fits really nicely down the side of these cars with the numbers slid forward. So happy for Joe Gibbs Racing and Denny Hamlin to put that to bed.
Social media will explode. What are you trying to do?
That's fine.
That number controversy, I thought we were past that. Apparently not.
Yeah, well,
it's okay.
It's done for a reason. Whether you like the number in the front or the middle, it's so you can put that logo on there and they can see it on television.
That's right. The number doesn't pay any money.
That's right.
Things like the Jumpman there on Tyler Reddick's car, that pays the bill.
That one pays plenty of money.
Yep.
2 groups. I think that's important. Just saw Larson with a headset on, looking at lap times, watching where these guys are running, listening to his teammates probably. Actually, none of the, well, it looks like the 9 car is going to be in this one. Anyway, these teams having the opportunity to watch their teammates and listen and learn and know where the air pressures are at, that helps you on these long runs and the balance of your race car.
So here's what I would do if I were going to practice. And leaving the pits right here, you have 1 set of tires to practice on. You have to go to qualifying right after this. We have to have a reference of coming to the green. We got to know the grip level. We got to learn what that grip level needs to be, because the fall off in this practice is going to be a fair amount. We know that coming to Homestead. You know that the fall off is going to happen. So how, as a driver, do I reference what I need to be doing from first lap of practice to the end of practice and then go back to qualifying and run fast again? Tough to do.
That was one of the things. I go back to the Hendrick camp. The 9 cars, all 4 cars are in that second group, so they don't have an opportunity to look at a teammate and understand where they're going to be. Larry?
Yeah, I actually talked to Paul Wolf, crew chief of Joey Logano, about that very same thing this morning. Ryan Blaney, Jonathan Hassler, they're in the first group. Paul said, we're not happy that they're in the first group because that means they've had a rough start to the season. But we absolutely take information from them, apply it to the 22 car before we even leave the pit road for our practice.
Thanks, Larry. Kevin, which did you prefer, Group 1 or Group 2?
I always preferred Group 2. I feel like the cars are, a little bit grippier in this first run. And I think as you get to Group 2, they get to learn more. They get to watch the SMT. They get to listen to the radio. The more information that you have in these short practices, the better off you're going to be. So as in every week, this is a constant learning process of what you need to be doing, where you need to run on a racetrack. This guy right here last year kind of changed the groove in 1 and 2. He would drive this car way down in there on the bottom and let it run up the racetrack just like that. Use that banking And that was a really unique line, but it worked really well for Carson last year. I think at 3 and 4, you're going to want to be up against the wall, because the more you can run against the wall, the more time you will have at the end of the run with those tires being happy.
You see, there's the 3 distinct lanes, if you will, of this racetrack that you spoke of, Kevin. And the progressive banking of this is, as the tires wear, the longer runs, if you want them to last the longest, you just keep moving up more and more and more.
Yeah,
2 veteran drivers right there.
And frustrating for Denny Hamlin, right? Because you come out of the pits and you want to be able to get a good read on your car for the first few laps, and then you have slow cars that are trying to space themselves out, and Kyle Busch winds up in front of Denny Hamlin. Now he's staggered a lap with fresher tires, and Denny's trying to understand where his car is from a fall-off standpoint, has to run in a spot on the racetrack he probably doesn't want to run. Now Kyle's frustrated because he's a lap better on tires, and he feels like he needs to get back around Denny Hamlin. So tough to get yourself spaced out and be where you need to be.
Denny already up on the wall like we were talking about, and that's what I loved. You saw off of the exit of 2, Denny Hamlin drive off from him. That momentum gained off the banking of the outside line is so crucial to a good run here.
Except Van Gisbergen down on the inside. We're used to seeing Daniel Suarez with that paint scheme, but
he's not used to running that close to the wall. This is going to be something he's going to have to acquire and learn.
You see the 41 car of Cole Custer, and when we talk about lanes, you're going to see those solid seams on the racetrack as we watch Denny Hamlin go into turn 1 right here. We talk about 3 lanes, and you see those distinct seams right there: bottom lane, middle lane, top lane, and you have choices, and that banking is progressive as you go up the racetrack. So you got a lot of choices to be on the seam with the right sides or the left sides, bottom lane, middle lane, top lane. So as a driver, you've got a lot of options here.
So that seam has a bit of rubberized filler in there between the courses of asphalt. Is there grip to be had there?
Or lack thereof, depending on how you hit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically here, I would always like to put the right side tires on the seam. You hear a lot of guys put the left sides. I always thought that you could use the right side tires on the seam to also lean a little bit on that banking with the side of the tire to help the car turn. So very technical, a lot of good markers here, a lot of good references to be able to maneuver your car around. Got to be consistent, especially when you're running this fence right here, to not make a mistake.
Bubba Wallace with the best 5-lap average so far. Wallace, Hamlin, Gregson, Smith, Hocevar.
Seeing a lot of drivers try to run, well, like Larson running all 3 series this weekend. I think practice makes perfect. You have to be comfortable racing within an inch of that wall, and that takes time. It takes reps, it takes rhythm, and to be able to find that rhythm, I think, is the reason why those guys are running all the races that they are.
And I would tell you, you don't need to be worried about hurting your car right here. If you bang up against the wall a little bit, rub up against the wall a little bit, you're okay. And you have to be able, as we look at the 3 options right here going into the corner, most important thing in this car, find clean air. And this is 3 examples. I think that the bottom car there with Bubba Wallace, you see him go up the racetrack on the exit. Very typical strategy to use the banking to drive into to help that car turn and get some grip.
Do you see the exit? Look at the exit speed that Ty Gibbs had in the 54 car. Really drove off from him on the exit. That's the momentum off that banking that we talked about.
He's had good success on the 1.5 miles. Gibbs has. In need of a turnaround for this season, and Sunday could well be the day that he gets it.
Well, I like the fact that he's up against the wall right there as we go on the Toyota onboard camera right here. It's always good, and I feel like the most important thing is to get in a rhythm. Have a plan when you get on the racetrack to get in a rhythm and be perfectly comfortable.
Back to it off of 2 there. That was a good lap.
You're going to have to, trying to listen to the spotter there, but you're going to have to be able to be precise, because running that fence and knowing how much that front end is going to slide and how close you can get to the wall. A lot of times you get close enough to the wall to where you can hear the sound and the pitch of the engine, and that's when you start to be able to look forward and listen to the pitch of the engine to be able to get that thing as close to the wall as possible and maximize that speed. Regan?
Well, Kevin, you talk about having a plan in practice and knowing exactly what you want to do. That's what the 23 car of Bubba Wallace had to start this practice. Crew Chief Charles DeKnight told him, I want you to run 40 laps no matter what. Even if you don't like it from laps 30 to 40, I want to get a long read run on what's going to happen with our car as we run. He's going to try different things also throughout the course of the run, like the slider line, going in on the bottom and drifting up to the top so he can get a good feel on the 23 car. You guys just mentioned he's very quick on the averages right now, top of the board on speed. But Clinton, Kevin, for me, I needed a crew chief to remind me when we came to Homestead that it was going to be bad at the end of the run and to keep going no matter what.
Okay. There's Bubba's season so far. Atlanta, of course, is the bright spot, 9th place finish. And so he's a bit in need of a turnaround here. He's also fastest on both the 5 and 10 lap averages and fastest individual lap so far in Group 1.
I'm watching the graph here, the fall off graph, if you will, and he's holding a pretty wheel, being good to his tires. The long run speed is right there. Ty Gibbs, he needs a big turnaround. Maybe a big weekend here in Homestead could be just what he needed. His long run speed is really, really well. And then Ryan Blaney right here. Seems like this car's taking off well and has shown some pretty good promise so far.
Yeah, the thing about Ryan Blaney, we have learned his long run speed is very good. You see the back of his car moving around. He's down the racetrack in 3 and 4 to try to get out of the wake of Riley Herbst in front of him, to try to get the air on that nose. And that's the problem here. The preferred line in 3 and 4 is up top. So just try to maintain and figure out something in 1 and 2 to be able to go where they're not. That's where you need to make the passes.
So glad you just made that point, Kevin. As he approached that car in front of him, he lost 0.2 of a lap time right there, just boom, as soon as he got in the wake of that car.
And this is where you start burning up your tires, right? Blaney's trying the bottom of the racetrack, but going down to the bottom of the racetrack is tougher on that right rear tire. You're going to be able to make the ground up and try to get that side draft, hoping that the car in front of you will give up a little bit to let you go by. But this is where you need to make your money down here. In 1 and 2, you need to be able to run the bottom. You need to be able to run the middle, because that's where you need to make the passes. And you see Ryan make that pass, and now you're going to see his lap times pick right back up, because he can go back to the top of the racetrack with clean air on the front of the car. And that's one thing that's really hard to keep track of in this practice, is the fact that the cars are going to slow down when they get behind each other. And do I have a good car, a bad car, because I didn't make this pass?
You know, Mark Donahue famously said at midnight the clock turns back to 0, and in the case of Homestead Miami, that's a good thing for Ryan Blaney, because here are the last 3 laps, each of which were led by a different driver, and Blaney was in it to win it right to the end.
Yeah, and I think when he goes back and looks at that, I mean, hindsight's easy to say here, but I think when he goes back and looks at that, you know that Tyler Reddick now is going to just bury it in there on the top. And if you go to the top, he's probably going to bury it in there on the bottom and try to slide job you. But giving up that outside groove in 3 and 4 here is very difficult to give up. And
especially with that car.
Yeah, and make the run up off the corner.
You passed me in a different groove, and you know, if you give up the preferred line, shame on me. You passed me somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think you just kind of got hung in no man's land.
John Hunter Nemechek 7th on the speed chart right now. Fired off this season with 2 top 10 finishes, one of only 2 drivers to do so. Looking to better his best on a 1.5 miles, which currently is 9th. 165 to 167 miles per hour. That's the spread among the top 10 speeds in this group. Denny Hamlin continues to work the top. He has the 4th fastest individual lap, but as we cross through 15 laps, he is number 2 to Bubba Wallace.
I'd say him owning that car would be all right with that, as for now. Pay window gets opened up tomorrow night, maybe it'd be a little bit different. But I want to go back to what you were talking about. You slip a wheel at least a little bit, talking about Blaney. When he caught Herbst in front of him, he was forced to run down below, you know, where he wanted to be in that preferred line. It scrubs a lot of tire off your car. It wears the tires out. Even slipping a wheel, don't matter where you're at on this racetrack, you slip a wheel just the least little bit, it costs you the rest of the run.
It costs you laps, and every time you slide that tire, have to go to the bottom, it costs you laps that you're gonna have your car hang on. So You got to figure out how to get through traffic, and you got to do what you got to do on the restarts. But anything that you can do to not pull that car down or hang that car on the bottom of the racetrack and make that right rear or right front tire work harder than it needs to is what you want to do inside the car. And it can be a very frustrating place to race, knowing how bad the cars were going to be in traffic when they have to follow each other around, through 3 and 4, is why that you have to really work on 1 and 2 to make it right.
That's why we call it a balance of a race car too. I mean, you're literally balancing all 4 corners of that race car, especially on an old wore out surface. Larry just told us it's like driving on a 80 grit sandpaper, where just cheese grades the tire off of your race car with each given lap. And the more you lean on that wheel and really turn the wheel and scrub the front tires, it's just going to build tighter. It makes those tires worse. If it's loose and you're really hanging it out and burning that right rear up, it just does nothing but just keep getting drastically worse and worse and worse.
Justin Haley, 5th on the board. Also 5th in the best 20 lap average department in his number 7.
And in my opinion, going back to that balance, though, Kevin, like, you could feel it in the pull of the wheel, what I always call the pull of the wheel. Like, if you went into the corner and your car was a neutral balance, you almost didn't have to do anything. You could balance the car through the corner with not much wheel input at all, and basically tap dancing on the pedals.
Yeah, and the other thing that you have to do in this car is you have to anticipate when that car is going to start rotating and unwind that wheel so that the car doesn't snap loose. So tough to do here at Homestead, but that's why you see all these drivers out on the racetrack making lap after lap after lap to make sure that they have a good reference in their head as to what that rhythm needs to be. Larry?
Kind of monitoring Kyle Busch in this 8 car, Randall Burnett crew chief. He's not that happy with the race car. He said it gets in the corner good, it goes through the middle, but he has no steering. The front wheels are not gripping. It's tight on the exit of the corner. I know you guys might find this hard to believe. I found some data to watch, and he's playing with the throttle way off the corner, which just kills his straightaway speed.
Well, and after 20 laps across the board, we're seeing about a 2-second fall off from the fastest laps of the day that were all set back on either lap 1 or 2 of this session.
And what you're going to see right here with the throttle, you're going to see the throttle up here in the top, and this is a place you're going to see an immediate lift right there, and now you're going to see a lot of partial up in the corner of this screen as you go through the middle of the corner until that car you feel like it has grip. So a lot of partial throttle to make sure that mid-corner speed is where it needs to be as the tires start to wear out. You just give it whatever you think it can manage without sliding the back of that car or pushing the front tires.
Now, Busch has the 10th fastest lap of this session, but he does not show up in the top 10 of any of the averages, 5, 10, 15, or 20 laps.
Can also be a very deceiving place. Yesterday in the truck race, Brandon Jones was one of the better cars in Truck Series practices, firing off. We're like, oh man, he's gonna win the race and have a chance to win the race, and he never showed up all day. And I think a lot of that just depends on the decisions and the things that happen as you get through with this run, and the conversations that you have with your crew chief and your engineer tonight after qualifying becomes super important, from the tire wear and the rhythm as you had in the car, and digesting, was I in traffic, not in traffic, what do I need to do, what's the pace going to be tomorrow, so that you can set those stops.
Todd Gilliland 13th on the speed chart here. Top of the averages, Wallace, Hamlin, and Blaney pretty much across.
I want to add another one that I'm looking at to that list, Justin Haley in a 7 car. Its fall off speed is really good.
Now here's his teammate Hocevar, who said on social media this week there is a B at the beginning of Hocevar. He says they dropped it because the B is silent. Barb, our audio tech, first noticed this a couple of weeks ago, but every race winner this year has a last name that has started with B, so he wants a B apostrophe Hocevar, and the B is silent.
Yeah, you were going to pronounce that, so how is that?
Hocevar.
Bozavar?
No, the B is silent.
Bozavar?
Whatever you want, Clint.
You said B.
Oh, here's Bahaley.
Bahaley.
Everybody wants in, Clint.
That one would be in
your name just happens to start with a B, but the rest of us are left out
if
here.
It was that easy. Get me a fire suit and brain bucket. I'm going back in.
Racers are a very superstitious bunch of people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They don't want certain colors. They want this color. They want to get on that train and think that there's some magic button. There's no magic button.
Clear. 33.68. Really, really, really good.
Riley Herbst 11th on the speed chart.
This car right here is flying on a long run, and I'm glad that we're on him. I was looking at his long run speed. He moved up. He did something.
That
And
was a
picked
full
up.
second quicker than Denny on the same lap.
You hear that right there?
Yep.
A whole second faster. I guarantee you he finally moved up through the race on the racetrack and is rolling. Drove right to his teammate Denny Hamlin right in front of him. Probably learned it from Denny.
And that's only a 1 second fall off from his fastest lap.
And you see right here.
We'll get a good look at your pit entries then over here in 4.
Watched it last night with Larson in that truck race. Kevin, I was watching you. Until he moved up, he wasn't going to catch those guys. He moved up and finally decided, all right, we're going to throw caution to the wind. I'm getting on this wall and riding it. He picked up a second and run them leaders down in a hurry. That's exactly what Ty Gibbs did. He's backing off right now, isn't he? I think he's just backing off, getting some room in between him and Denny.
And I heard him talk about getting a good visual for your pit road entrance there. So being able to have some space, maybe going to pit road, or he wants to keep running one or the other. I mean, you're not going to pass him right now, so you might as well just keep getting a good read on your car so that you get a good tire wear.
Regardless, when he moved up and got latched onto this wall, got comfortable out there, he picked up a second a lap. That is huge.
Coach looking on.
Probably liking what he sees. I know I would be. Kid needs a big turnaround. This could be it. He's due.
And notoriously, the Joe Gibbs cars have been really good at these styles of racetrack where you have that high tire wear and the grip and everything goes away. Typically, they make good downforce. They have good setups for their cars that see Noah Gregson pull that car off the wall right there.
Did he catch the wall?
It looked like he did.
We see a lot of marks on the wall.
We'll look at the tires on the right side as he comes around, because that's usually the first clue as to whether or not they got up against the wall, if those Goodyear letters are rubbed off. Not quite. Oops,
there it is.
Oops, yep, there.
Another thing about getting in the wall here, Kevin, is you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
It's like Velcro. Once you just touch it, you think, man, I'm just going to just touch it, kiss it with the right rear. It'll suck you in. The right front gets in it, and it's like, it just stops.
You can't worry about that in this car, in this practice session. I'm okay.
I like what you said earlier about that.
These
You're going to do it now.
These cars are tough.
Yeah.
It's going to scrape the decals off, but if you rub the wall like that, I would encourage that for my driver to be aggressive, because it is so important to get that last foot of asphalt up next to the wall and that grip level that goes with it. It is recommended.
And what you're saying there is just rings so true, because he never even pulled in. Back in the day with the old car, if you touched it, you had to pull in, because it would smash the quarter panel, it would be into the tire, cut your tire down, and ruin your day.
And that conservative strategy with the old car is out the window. You got to be good at running that wall and be comfortable and not be worried about rubbing up against the fence.
This was Bubba Wallace watching Noah Gregson there. Not sure who he's commenting to, but had a lot to say there. So these 19 cars have just under 4 minutes to go. And then the second half of the field by the NASCAR metrics. So the cars higher in the point standings, and with the best finishes from the last week, will be in the next session.
Yeah, and I think Bubba Wallace was probably at his pit box. He's pulled in the pits, and he was standing there describing his car. As drivers, we do funny things like that with our head and our hands. And
the hands.
Yeah, you can
driver
tell.
Can't tell anything about a car without his hands. You tie our hands behind our back, we're in big trouble. Gibbs, fellas. Ty Gibbs, it is his time, and that car on a long run is extremely fast. There he is right there. Promise you there's some positive mojo going on the radio in that camp.
And that's all it takes. It could literally take one this to light the switch. You know, Clint, when you're in those holes and you don't have everything going your way, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you're a half a second faster than guys that are driving the same type of stuff you are. You're like, okay, all right, I didn't forget how to do this.
Yeah, a lot of goose eggs through the first 5 races for Ty.
Hey, we just saw one last week. Been a long time coming for them Wood brothers, and they put it in victory lane. Didn't have that on my bingo card. Regan Smith was the only one in our camp that did. Cashed in, but I'm telling you, man, I'm
going to tell you, having a perfect trifecta last week, all right, Josh Berry, Daniel Suarez, Ryan Preece. Whoever had that trifecta has a perfect bracket, okay, for the NCAA basketball championship, and nobody does, right?
Well, my man Regan saw something that nobody else saw, and for good reason. You know, I said it going off the air. That wasn't a fluke. He was up front all day long. And again, going back to the point in all of this, Gibbs, he's due, and I think it's time. And I have to put it all together.
Well, this one too, better and
but
better.
They have the hardest part down. They got the speed.
That's a fact. When you have the speed, it makes things so much easier. Fixing all the rest of the stuff is doable.
Watched them last weekend. They unloaded it at Vegas. We're like, man, where is Ty Gibbs? You don't want to just completely, be negative towards it, but they unloaded bad. They unloaded bad and ran bad last week. Difference.
So
when you have the speed, the rest will come.
So he would be your value pick this week?
I think I've been selling that. Did I not do a good enough job?
I'm just driving
That's
that nail home.
I think what Mike is saying is sometimes when you talk, you get excited. So he's just making sure that it was clear.
I can talk myself out of a conversation, but I'll always come back to it.
You said that, not me.
Yeah. I mean, that takes special talent. Special talent is right there inside this race car. Good looking race car. This Valvoline car for William Byron. He will be fast. Looks fast. Look at that. Good looking hot rod.
You won't miss that one out there. Not with that bright.
That's
that
good
Rapid.
looking.
Looks like Chevy Rapid Blue, the Corvette color. I like.
Yeah,
that.
do you remember that color?
Which
Rapid? What was it?
Rapid Blue is.
Rapid Blue.
That's on the new Corvettes, Clint.
Only the new ones, Kevin. Rapid Blue.
I'll take it. I'll take both of your
that
word
car's
for
going
it.
to be very rapid.
All right, flags are out to end Group 1 practice, won by Bubba Wallace in the number 23. Now that's a South Florida paint job right there. Nice use of color. With a lap of 166.9 miles an hour over Jones, Gregson, Hamlin, and Haley. Group 2 on the way.
At NAPA, we're the pros that know how to make your business our business. Pros everywhere you need us, with every part you need. From brake pads to stock your shop in Orange County, California,
Brake pads.
to oil filters for your fleet in Orange County, Florida. It's why we built a nationwide network of parts and exceptional service, all driven by one mission: to keep businesses big, small, and everything in between moving full speed ahead.
Hitting the open road.
We're just talking about Bubba Wallace, of course, quickest in practice right there, Bubba, but also very good on the averages. We caught a shot of you on the camera earlier. A lot of hand signals, a lot of moving around. What were those hand signals?
Well, you've raced here, so you know how tricky this place is and how rough it can be, but you're just sliding around from lap 1 to lap 3. It's really a total different race car. But I thought our Columbia PFG Toyota Camry was really good. It looks the best one out here, I'll say that. We got that award already wrapped up. But the speed is there too, so hats off to everybody at 2311. And on this 23 group, we've had speed the first 5 races. There's really no horseshoe to go with that, so hopefully we can turn it around going into tomorrow. But just trying to show up with more confidence, ask more out of the car so I can give better feedback. So it's all seeming to click right now, but long way to go.
You talk about seeming to click. Last time we were here at Homestead, extremely quick, got up front, led some laps, and did a lot of good things. So does that carry the momentum as well when you come here this time?
Oh, of course, Regan. I mean, you show up to a track that you really like, you actually love, one of the best tracks on the circuit. That automatically brings good momentum to you. But then you have to get in the car and work and use all your driver tools to figure it out. So I got the best people around me to help me figure out those tools and make the toolbox even bigger. But yeah, last year definitely helped, but we did not finish where we wanted to. We want to be where the 45 was.
Well, good luck getting the finish this year that you want, Bubba.
Thank you, Bubba.
Larry, what you got?
Yeah, Regan, I'm here with Eric Jones, second quickest. You guys have brought speed again with this 43 car, but I see a lot of work going on the left front of this car.
Yeah, I mean, first proud, just another quick car off the truck. We've struggled with that the last few years, so happy to see that out of the Family Dollar Camry. But yeah, I guess ran something over. We've got, looks to be a hole in the floor, which obviously isn't good. So hope to get it patched up here so we can make a lap and then kind of figure out what's going to happen for tomorrow. But so it's disappointing for sure. You don't want to have anything like that happen, but you know, like I said, proud of the speed, proud of how it's driving, and hopefully we can get this sorted out and get a good lap down to qualifying.
Well, we know it's all about qualifying today. Kevin Harvick's always said you can't drive a slow car fast. You guys are bringing fast race cars. What's it going to take to close the deal on Sunday?
Yeah, I think we've done a good job having fast cars to fire off. Our race is just not went as good as we'd hoped. You know, it's always felt like kind of the opposite. I felt like we put good races together even when we didn't qualify good in the past. So we got to get better on the long run. I felt like we were okay right there. We were definitely fighting some loose condition, which I think everybody kind of is today here at Homestead. So, you know, we'll work on it for tomorrow, hopefully make some good changes, but just got to figure out that long run. And starting up front's nice, but it's a lot nicer to stay up there for the whole thing.
Mike, what a difference is made in Legacy Motor Club from last year to this year.
Well, it sure has, Larry. There's Bubba debriefing and talking it over.
A little wisdom in that beard.
The speed again. This right here is way faster on the long run than everybody else. That's the difference between a
so
good
what
car
you're
and a
saying
bad.
is bad,
Oh
up
my
here.
gosh, Kevin, yes.
Bad, good.
No.
Simplify.
This is good. 54. That's what I'm talking about. I love this data right here. You hear us talk about during practice sessions. This is the old school, right? Now that we have longer practice session, giving these teams more laps on the racetrack, we look at that long run speed. That's what he's looking at right now. Guarantee it. Thumbs up, Ty Gibbs. See, that's his thumb right there behind it. That was a thumbs up.
Had you on his radio.
Heck yeah, he did. Blaney was another one. You heard me say the 3 cars that I thought was the fastest in that group. That 12, 23 of Bubba Wallace, and Ty Gibbs. We haven't said Ty Gibbs much this year. Maybe it's his weekend.
Well, Blaney is always good on the long runs, and the reason that we think it is that way is because of the fact he doesn't have to ever turn his car as much as everybody else. Seems to be able to run his car freer and be able to keep that car turning as the run goes on, but also manage the back. So very unique.
And here's a look at the drivers that'll be in Group 2. And again, this is set by the metric. Last year there were 3 components to the metric. This year there are only 2. And I believe it's owner point standing and last race finish. That's what determines where each car goes and whether they're in Group 1 or Group 2.
Well, we see a lot of tire marks up against that wall, Clint. We see a lot of scrapes on the right rear. I love that. That's perfect. It's on the fender, not the tire.
Well, that was Gibbs. Here's Denny. There's Bubba Wallace. All the cars that were fast. Riley Herbst.
And I said this a few minutes ago. I think
John Hunter.
I would encourage you to get up there next to the fence. This is not conservative. You're not hurting a car with that much damage.
Well, sooner or later you're going to have to.
That's right.
Because somebody coming behind you is going to be there, and they're going to be coming in a hurry, just like we had Ty Gibbs. Now this group, there's a lot of them. You heard me say at the beginning of the show, who's the wall riding ringers, and I think the 5-car, Tyler Reddick. We know Blaney's good at it. These guys possibly can do it even better yet.
So Larry, it seems like we had quite a lengthy break between groups here. What's changed?
Well, Mike, NASCAR keeps trying to figure out how to make this work the best for everybody, keep it on equal ground with 2 groups of practice, 25 minutes apiece, and then go into qualifying. They have extended the time that each group has to get ready from the end of practice to qualifying from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. That was the 10 minutes right there that they gave Group 1 a chance to flip their car over to qualifying trim. Now the clock is stopped. Practice started. Group 1, their cars are ready to go qualify. Just giving them a little extra time.
So are they no longer able to work on these cars, Larry?
They can't. If they put them on a 10-minute clock, it'll be the same with this group on the racetrack, Mike.
Okay.
When they come off the racetrack, the clock starts. They have 10 minutes to get ready to qualify.
Thanks. Now, the one exception is Eric Jones, who told us they have a problem with the underbody of that car. So it is still under repair, and we'll find out if NASCAR is going to allow him to make a qualifying lap or not. Wow, that's colorful. I'll tell you, you drive around South Beach, you drive around anywhere in the Miami area, people down here have colorful cars, not just on the racetrack. Wow.
I still look at the hood of that Jumpman logo sometimes and think it's a Mercedes.
You could be forgiven for that. I mean, the Mercedes 3-pointed star is about 100 years older than the Jumpman logo, and there is a similarity.
Always have unique, good-looking cars, though.
Yeah. Austin Cindric in more familiar color scheme.
And one of my favorite schemes because it's the brightest one, so for a blind guy, makes it a lot easier to see. Austin did a great job last night on pit road during the truck race. He was one of our pit road reporters with Carson Hocevar. See that car bouncing a lot.
Austin was the one not in handcuffs, right? You know, you're right. This is the easiest car to pick out on the racetrack. The hard part is it Cindric or is it Blaney?
Now
because they swap that paint scheme around a lot.
That does become an issue as they get those paint schemes so that they're similar. So it's definitely a scenario that you have to pay attention to, whether that's a 1 and a 2 or just a 2.
By the way, nice job last night on the truck race with Brad Kozlowski and Joey Logano in the booth. Richard F. Gross produced that race for us on Big Fox, and everybody watched.
Yeah, it was definitely fun, and we had a great race, and that's why people love coming to the Homestead Miami Speedway, because you can race from the bottom of the racetrack to the top of the racetrack. We saw it in the Cup race last year. These races are never over, and last night it was Corey Heim who kept having problems with his engine shutting off, and that allowed Kyle Larson to put that thing right up on the fence and let it rip. Put himself in position to have a chance and wound up winning the race.
Spin to win. Kyle Larson last night. That's pretty awesome comeback.
Here's one that knows how to run the boards, as they say, Kevin.
Well, we expect Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, and those are the guys that are typically really good at running the wall. And now in the first session we saw Ty Gibbs do a really good job doing the exact same things. The hard part is doing that for 400 miles and not making a mistake. Larson running all 3 races this weekend and won the truck race last night, in the Xfinity race today, and you see him right up against the wall doing exactly what he does so good. And Clint, even sometimes, and especially with this car, he'll get that right rear just kind of tapping against the wall and manage that thing going through the corner. But that's something that you can do with this car. You can actually get that right rear, almost use it as a reference point. And I never got comfortable enough to do something like that.
Oh, Brad, you're going to have to get a little closer.
Oh,
now he started to flirt. Did you hear his throttle?
That's the problem when you don't enter all the way against the wall. That's what those guys are so good at. When you try to
definitely be a more aggressive run of the fence through 3 and 4, Brad. I mean, he's right against it.
There you go.
Took the words right out of your mouth, Kevin.
That's right. And even right here, you can't cheat that thing down, because as you're going.
Now he's got it. Now he's got it.
But you can't. You can't cheat the entry, right? Because it just doesn't give you the angle that you need.
That's what right up against it looks like. Whoa. And in it.
I'm okay with that.
Now Larson will start 17th in today's race.
Well, if you're okay with that one, are you okay with that's what you were just talking about, where he touched the right rear and just barely kissed it.
Now that's in turns 1 and 2, and the unique part about the turns 1 and 2 wall, I always felt like you drove underneath it. Felt like that wall angled out a little bit at the top compared to the wall in 3 and 4. So it was a little bit deceiving, because it almost feels like it's going to come in your side window right there, the way that top of that safer barrier is angled compared to the turns 3 and 4 wall.
This is a rhythm thing. You don't just pull out and get comfortable being up there that close to the wall. Once you get in the rhythm, you get in sync, your lifting points, your pickup points, all those things start coming in, and when you find that rhythm, that's when you can stay out of it. That's why a guy like Larson that hits it once, twice, just keeps at it and finds the happy medium there, and he'll find a slot and stay in it.
And Larson is fastest in this group over Bell, Briscoe, and Bowman. Drivers in Group 2 are shown here in white on the pylon. Group 1 drivers in gray. Regan?
Mike got a report after the last practice of a potential vibration on the 88 of Shane Van Gisbergen and ran down to check it out. Nothing wrong with the tires, much like it's been all year long. These tires have looked great coming off of the cars, but take a look at the inside of the wheel well right there. That is all the rubber buildup. Of course, these guys are running right up against the wall, and we've mentioned all day long about how this is like 80 grit sandpaper on the racetrack, and it's a cheese grater for the tires. That rubber has to go somewhere. Normally, if we're running down on the bottom of the track, it just goes up to the top of the track. It can't do that. It is ending up in these wheel wells, and guys are picking up vibrations from it.
That'll do it.
Doesn't take much. You put ounces on them to when they do balance them, and you're talking about more than ounces everywhere that are stuck to the wheel.
Joey Logano at the bottom of the speed chart right now. Not sure what they're working on, but his fastest lap of 32.88, half a second off Bubba Wallace at the top of the board.
Yeah, and this is one of those places that's could be challenging for the way that the Fords have kind of dealt with traffic. We saw Joey last week, very good by himself, controlling the race when he had the track position. At this racetrack, you get locked into running this fence right here, and if your car is not as good as everybody else is following, it makes for an extremely long day when those front tires don't work like they should.
Barry and Logano 31st and 2nd overall. Cindric 15th. Blaney 12th. Watching Chase Briscoe, who is 3rd in Group 2 and 2nd of the Toyotas, behind his teammate Christopher Bell.
You start talking about fall off and lap times. I showed you that graph of that first group. You know, time will tell if this group is faster or slower. There's two things that are stacking up probably against them a little bit: track temperature and the rubber on the racetrack, and especially in the groove, the preferred groove right up on that. Once they clean that up, now it starts building rubber up and it gets slicker and slicker.
So you see Kyle Larson has come up on the best 10 lap average board here, 3rd and best of this session so far.
I still think this group will produce some of the best long runs.
He's getting better. Back on board with Brad right there. You saw his entry much better into turn 3. You have to be against that wall. You can't shortcut that entry, or when you get to the middle of the corner, that's when you start to have problems and you lose speed.
Well, you can't change directions.
Look how much better.
So when you enter the wall, it just makes the radius whole. You don't ever go to a point where you're catching it, have to pull on the wheel. Everything's a lot more consistent all the way around.
Still, it's that back up the hill part where you don't follow that exact radius as close as he is through the rest of the corner. That, I mean, it's just it's a matter of inches that makes the difference in how you can get through the center of the corner. See how he's coming off the wall just a little bit and then he gets back up to it. It's a really uncomfortable feeling from a driver's perspective to be able to follow that wall and be comfortable with getting that car to roll as fast as it can and not be worried about hitting the fence.
Speaking of rolls, riding with Ryan Preece, got on a roll last week. That 3rd place finish, pointing the ship in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely a great run for them. But today, he and his boss Brad Keselowski both searching for speed. 27th and 29th with their best lap in the 32.70s here. For the win, NWSL will take you inside the high-stakes drama of the 2024 National Women's Soccer League Playoffs and Championship with exclusive behind-the-scene moments. Soccer icon Alex Morgan and rising star Trinity Rodman are featured, and you can watch it now only on Prime. Trackhouse Racing nose to tail there, with last week's runner-up Daniel Suarez, who is 19th on the speed chart. Ross Chastain just above him in 16th.
And those guys needed that finish last week. They both, Daniel had a chance to win there at the end. Ross leading laps. Trackhouse, they needed those top 5 finishes to be able to put themselves in position to get back going, right? Like, we expect Ross Chastain to be in contention to win those races and run like he did last week. Now, it was a great pit call to get the track position with 2 tires, put themselves in position to get back on the right strategy there at the end with everybody else, and they were able to maintain that. So Suarez, he had a real shot at the end, and ultimately Josh Berry just had a better car and was able to get by, but they put themselves in a position to have a chance, both of them. And you see the difference right here, right? Like, running high is one thing, but when you watch the cars that are making good time in the top, you have to be able to put that thing right up against the fence, or you might as well just move down the racetrack and run somewhere else.
Michael McDowell, 10th overall, is the fastest of the Spire Motorsports cars. 32.51, 166 miles an hour, his best lap. Haley right on top of him from Group 1, just about 3 1/1000ths different.
Ooh, somebody just got, whoever's in front of him just hit the fence right there. It's all the tire smoke.
I think it was William Byron, which was laying some really good lap times down until that point. I think he's gonna he moved down just a little bit there, Kevin, but I think he'll be back at it.
A.J. Allmendinger, 25th overall.
Have to regroup when you hit that wall like that. Set you back a little bit. All right, let me get my thoughts. Let me get my rhythm back, and I'll get back to you.
Allmendinger down the speed chart, but the laps he's running right now after 13 laps on track are only about 0.8 of a second fall off from his best lap. Kyle Larson's now taken over the best consecutive 20-lap average for today's practice.
Yeah, and he's going to go from 20 to 30. He'll take over that one. As we don't have it up on the screen, but he'll take over that 30-lap average too. I mean, that is just what we expect out of Kyle Larson. And he's in such a good rhythm from the truck race and Xfinity practice. We expect that 5 car to be one of the cars, if not the car, to beat.
Ricky Stenhouse here, 23rd overall, 32.66. His best lap. There's your best 20-lap average so far.
And I like this strategy, you know, from Larson. I think just get up there, get against the wall, hit it a couple times, see him hit it again right there. I'm fine with that.
How many times too many? How many times too many?
I don't think if you're going to hit it like that, I don't think you can hit it too many times.
Just a little left tap.
Yeah.
He has led more than 600 laps here. Nobody has led more laps at this racetrack than Kyle Larson. And there's a look at last night's truck race.
That takes most people out of the game. Most guys are done right then and there.
Yeah,
he started 22nd.
And he just got braver. He said, okay, now these trucks are a little different. They have sheet metal bodies on them. So when you get them up against the fence, it does do some damage to them. So they managed their truck all night. And when he was kind of what we thought out of the race, he put himself back in position by taking all the risk early.
Here he is in the wall again. Yeah, he beat Layton Riggs to win that truck race last night. He's in the Xfinity race today, starting 17th. And trying to do what only Kyle Busch has done, is have a 3-race weekend sweep. Kyle Busch did it at Bristol, not once, but twice.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I know these things don't have a sheet metal body on them, like you said, but that thing's going to have a see-through body on it if we keep going at the rate we're going.
That's fine, too.
Okay.
I think I mean, how many times have you been here and seen the right side tore off of that car? You don't need a side when you run that close to the wall.
That's the good news about this race car. I mean, all kidding aside, the car can stand it. You know, before it smashed the fender in, just like we said, and cuts your tire down. This thing just takes a beating and keeps on going.
Now here's his teammate Chase Elliott, who is down the speed chart in 33rd, 32.89, half a second off the quickest lap of the day.
I like his long run speed. I like what he's showing us. He's dipping down right at the right time, looking at those graphs. I'll show this graph again at the end of this group, just like we did the last. And his long run speed is very good, this 9 car.
Alex Bowman, 7th overall. Another one of these psychedelic paint schemes. Boy, everybody's brought it out here for like South Florida.
Looks like a football play on the side of that thing. What a lot going on.
Well, you can see the difference in approach from the 48 to the car behind him, Tyler Reddick, and you can see who's being more aggressive from the wall standpoint as Larson goes to the bottom. Another good thing about where Larson is being able to do exactly what he's doing, and that's like, okay, everybody can run the wall, but that's fine. But at some point, you got to be able to manage traffic and get through traffic and be able to pass and put yourself in a spot to throw the car in there and slide jobs, follow around like this. So how much does that change my throttle percentage? But you can see
look at the momentum that Reddick is carrying through the center of the corner on him. I love that shot right there. It showed the momentum that Reddick, and then again, you know, the other guy that can run the outside running right back to them.
And this is 1 and 2. This is where you'll make your passes, and when that guy is hung up behind that car up top, you use this corner to make a little bit of ground, put yourself in a position to go through 3 and 4 so that you can manage your gap, and hopefully by the time you get to the entry to 1, find a spot. And that's what Larson wants to see right there. He wants to see Reddick go to the bottom of the track to try to fill that hole as fast as he can behind Alex Bowman if he doesn't get past.
I like how Reddick went to the bottom, but he really hooked the bottom. Did
Watch
a good
this.
job hooking the bottom. Well, that's the momentum from the top, but he's got to find a way around him. Now Larson's got the same problem ahead. How are you going to get around Bowman? But my point is both of them. Larson did the same thing in 1 and 2. If you're going to hit that bottom, you have to hook it. If you miss it, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, middle is no man's land.
No man's land. See, that's the exact same thing I said about it rolls reverse. Now it's Larson's turn. See him hook that white line, the exit of the corner, slow through the center, but it's the only way you can guarantee the best exit speed.
And you can see how much bigger Reddick is making the racetrack. You know, the
Slide job coming.
That's how you got to do it. You got to make it happen. You can't waste time and let the guy behind you fill that gap. Drive it in. When you're in position, slide up the hill, take that line from them and move on. And that's what makes Reddick and Larson so good at this. They know how to play that slide job game. And really, when they're running the fence, it's about the momentum off the corner to put yourself in position to carry that momentum and slide up in front of them. Very unique. Glad we get to watch the two guys that we think are the best at riding the fence like that. Great.
Going at it in practice. This is another one I'm talking about. Byron, anybody, the Hendrick camp has brought a lot of grip for these guys to go to battle this weekend. Chase Elliott's fast, Byron's fast, Larson you knew was going to be fast. All three of those cars really good. Bowman's right there behind him.
And you're going to get into a position tomorrow to where you have to have, you're going to have a few long runs. There's just no way around.
They're all going to be long.
Yeah.
Count on it.
The runs are going to be long, but it's so challenging lap after lap after lap to be able to run that wall, because every time you go in there, it feels a little bit different. You'll slide the front, or it'll, you'll bounce off the wall a little bit, and you got to regather yourself and understand, okay, did I push it too hard? Did I slip right there? What happened?
Christopher Bell has the 5th best individual lap of this session, but
yeah, keep going. I think that the rest of the story is not the best. They're looking for adjustments out of Christopher Bell. He's coming in a little bit early. Long run speed fall off is not quite as good as they need to be.
And a lot of that, you never know their strategy, right? Like we didn't see where Bell was running on the racetrack, so we don't know all the scenarios there. But if you go just off the graph, it's definitely not in the same range as the guys that we think are the best right now.
Well, looking at that graph, that's what I love, the point you just made, and I love looking at that because you can see who struggles the worst in traffic. They'll be running along there and their fall off, and all of a sudden that spike, that 2 or 3 tenths, was it 2 or 3 tenths, was it half a second? That's the difference that's going to make the difference in the race tomorrow night. Larry?
Yeah, you talked about Christopher Bell. He was happy with that 20 car for the first 25 laps, but he told Adam Stevens about lap 26. He said something changed dramatically. It's not doing a lot of what I'm looking for it to do. I'm not so sure they're going to go back out, because I think Adam Stevens knows trying to make an adjustment to 32-lap tires, you'll just start chasing yourself.
Yeah, I agree with you, Larry. There's no way they can go back out. I mean, if you went out and tried to fire off on those tires right there, you wouldn't learn anything, because the tires just get so worn out and slippery that firing back off, and it gets even worse.
It doesn't, from my perspective, it didn't matter what you did from here on. You go out and the thing wouldn't turn as good. They want to go get a read on your tire builds, get a read on your wears, go from there.
nice to have those 3 checkered flags on the car, though. Means you can experiment. You can have some fun and do some different things here,
especially when we're this early in the season.
Right.
Well,
pretty handy.
And we've talked about this before too. You just got to be careful that it doesn't keep you from progressing, to keep that motivation of thinking that you're behind.
Kevin,
when you've won a few.
When you found yourself in victory lane, did you lose motivation, or did it build the fire?
Well, I just meant to be creative about looking for the next.
Not answering
looking
me.
for the next setup.
I know the answer. I lived it. It was trouble. Tasted that blood and he wanted more.
That's right. Once you get to that blood in the water.
All right, 2.5 to go here. Still a couple of cars making laps.
You see how abrupt that car of Kyle Larson's came off the racetrack, practicing getting to pit road. Very difficult pit road, because you have to abruptly get off, or that off the racetrack from the banking to the flat, and it grabs that left front splitter, so you have to make sure you don't do it gradually.
And you saw him practice, because it cost him a win here once too.
Yeah, he got out. He was his view was kind of blocked behind the car right in front of him, and he caught the edge of the sand barrels at the end of the upper end of pit road.
Yeah, you're going to watch this right here, and you'll see that big, just really hard on that splitter. But you got to do it all at once like that in order for it to not gradually grab it and get that right rear sliding. You see his wall marks are above the wheel well there.
Well, you can even see it. Look at the wheel. You see the pain in the wheel. He's actually, there's no tire. There's no Goodyear on the side of that Goodyear tire. He's been into it several times. A little bit harder than most.
Cliff's looking at that thing like, oh, how am I going to explain this to him to not discourage him?
Yeah, you see this one just barely touched. Look at the tire. Look at the wheel. Tire's just barely been rubbed just at least a little bit.
Yeah,
have to be careful not to hit that wheel too hard because we know the toe link is next. You bend the toe link, you're done. You have to come in and fix it.
NASCAR official taking note of what's going on there. Kyle Larson is going to end this session fastest of Group 2 in every category. I won't name them. You know them. Every average and the fastest lap for Group 2, all Kyle Larson. No surprise.
You have to be careful, though. I cannot stress that enough. Looking at that right rear wheel, yes, that is where all of the money's going to be made. But we've seen him step over that line too much before here. You have to be careful. Keep that in check. Do not bend that toe link.
You're right. That has to be, you have to manage Kyle and say, okay, we need to go, but we don't need to go now. When do we need to go? Because he can make the time.
Are we at Darlington?
Yeah, here's
Look
Byron.
at this.
Yep, same song. Next verse.
And you see that those marks on the top of the fender. That's what I'm talking about from the wall. That most likely, sometimes you get in it too hard and it'll squish it all the way up on top of the fender like that. But a lot of times that's from the top of the wall.
Saw Seabell, and here's Byron again. That's on the right front. So flags are out to end practice. Kyle Larson wins Group 2 practice. And for those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, our coverage will continue on Prime Video with qualifying getting underway shortly. Practice is complete. Bubba Wallace, Eric Jones from Group 1, the fastest individual lap, then Kyle Larson from Group 2. Nice smattering of Toyotas, Chevys, and Fords. Well, only one Ford in the top 10, that being Noah Gregson. Let's check with Regan.
Well, Mike, one of the Fords that's just outside the top 10, Ryan Blaney in 12th after the combined practice sessions there. And I don't know if there's anybody that's had more bad luck the past few weeks on the track than you. I'm a little nervous standing next to you right now, but a good, smooth practice. So is this going to set the tone for the rest of the weekend?
I hope so. Yeah, last couple weeks, finishes hadn't been great, and having our issue at Phoenix, and then honestly, unfortunate deal in practice, and then I made a mistake in the race and cost us a good finish. But I think Dead Wizard Ford Mustang was pretty good today. I thought the speed was good. I didn't think it was driving the best, so that's better than driving good and slow, in my opinion. So I think we'll be able to tune it up pretty well. Hopefully we can lay a good lap down, but appreciate the 12 boys as always. And yeah, I think Mustangs are pretty fast. I feel like all the Fords got some good pace in them. But now it's seeing how do you hold on, and be nice and sunny tomorrow and hot and slick, and that's what makes this racetrack great. But good start to the weekend.
I took a look at the right side of your car real quick, and I don't see any marks over there. So how'd you pull that off? Because it looks like Darlington out here right now.
Yeah, I'm clean. It's my car chief's psyched about that. I appreciate it. I made sure to point him out to him right when I got in, like, hey, right side's clean for you. Don't have to work on it. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, how much do you want to push the issue? Everyone does it in their own way, and I've had the right side scuffed up a lot, and I just didn't really hit it today. So, but you got to find the limit. Here the closer you get, the more committed you are, the more speed you're going to get, and sometimes you step it over, and you're going to get a stripe. But that's just part of it. I know not many of them will be clean tomorrow, and I'm sure mine won't be either. There'll probably be some scuffs on the right side.
All right, good luck finding the limit and qualifying here in a moment.
Yeah, thanks.
Larry Mack, what do you got?
Yeah, Regan, I'm here with Christopher Bell. Christopher, you ran over 30 laps. I know you seemed happy with your car about the first 25 laps. What about the long run on your 20 car?
It died. It died those last 10s. That was eye-opening. We know how this place is. It's always like that where you have comers and goers. And I don't know. I mean, part of it is just kind of like, okay, we're going to lean into it, play our strengths. And typically what I've been successful at here at Homestead is the short run. It took off really good, and I actually felt really comfortable, running high for a little bit, and then those last 10 I really fell off. So, yeah, just trying to balance it out, short run to long run. Maybe this 20 team will play into our strengths.
I looked at your right rear quarter panel. You're a minority. It's just barely scraped a little bit. What is the fine line running that high line and not stepping across as a dirt racer, stepping across the cushion?
Yeah, I mean, it's just risk versus reward, and I know that these things with composite bodies, you can get away with a lot more than what you used to back in the day, but still, we have toe links and stuff, so I try to really focus on taking care of the car, and I felt myself kiss it a little bit out of turn 4, and I'm like, all right, we need to back it down here and get away, get a little bit of separation. So glad that our Ream Camry is pretty clean, and try and lay a lap down here. Qualifying is so much fun at this racetrack. You can kind of run wherever you need to run to make your car good, and yeah, we'll see who picks the best lanes.
Mike, I would say he might not be happy with that 20 car, but I bet he'll be a player tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. We'll see how he does today. He's looking for his first top 10 start of the season. We'll be right back to get qualifying underway here in Homestead. All right, Professor Boyer, what do you got for us for Group 2?
Well, let me take another look at this. Take another stab. All right, here's our graph. Okay, same deal. Lap times here, laps ran here, right? The only difference in this one, we talked about Ty Gibbs in the last one. Look over here. Ty Gibbs is the green car. Remember the long run speed that I talked about. Kyle Larson, look at him in the blue. Hit the wall right here. Gets back to it. Hits the wall again. Gets back to it. Very good long run speed. His teammate, the 9 car, it's hard to differentiate him and Reddick. Reddick is the white. Reddick's up here, and this is, Chase Elliott in the light blue. Reddick's a little bit off on the long run. Chase Elliott, teammate to that Hendrick car. You heard me talk about the Hendrick cars. They have really good long run speed. That tells me those cars are making good grip, good balance on the race cars. Elliott, you see Byron in the red, and you see Larson in the blue. Those cars are fast, folks.
Is that clear?
Actually, it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, the lower you are on that chart, the faster you are.
That is.
I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure
you were trying to develop a little bit of animosity right there, and it bit you right in the behind.
But I promise you, next week, we're going to put more Crayolas in Russell's box, so light blue and white don't look the same.
Apparently, he's colorblind. He can't tell the difference between white and white, Russell. They're both white.
Both look
not bad for our first stab. A lot of fun up here. I hope that made sense, folks.
I like it.
Very important at racetracks like this because the fall off is so
it's gospel.
Great.
It really is what we look at.
You have to be able to manage that speed from 5-10 laps on into the run because it matters. But to throw a twist into that, hearing Christopher Bell's comments about his short run car and how that's what they're focusing on was pretty interesting.
Well, we're going to need a caution at the end. Not might be able to pay out. Let me switch.
Won him last time.
Let me change gears here for you. Switch focus. Where do I need to be on this racetrack to find the grip for this one lap?
That's a loaded question. I think there's a number of different approaches to that.
Well, J.J. Yaley is going to be the first one to find out. He's driving the PCNY Chevrolet. That's Police Conference of New York, labor organization in the Empire State. He raced at Atlanta and attempted the Daytona 500 this year for this number 44 team.
I think the hardest part about figuring that out, how to answer that question, is it takes you back to the progressive banking on this racetrack. Shortest way around may not be the fastest way around because there's more bank on the outside, but it could be.
And to be honest with you, it's probably going to feel sloppy just because it's just not going to feel good. And
well, not darn sure not what you just got out doing.
No, and the trick to this is what is the pace? So adjusting that pace to whatever the fast lap was in practice and trying to have a plan in your head to say, okay, pace is slower, faster, whatever it winds up being, because it is getting warmer. Racetrack is getting more rubber on it. This track will continue to get faster as the rubber gets cleaned up off the racetrack. So these early guys are definitely at a disadvantage because of that. But I think high to the green, I think anywhere middle down in 1 and 2 is probably okay, but it's probably going to feel. It's probably not going to feel great through turns 1 and 2. I think 3 and 4. I think you want to be right sides on the top seam or up in the high groove still.
Cody Ware from Greensboro, the Jacob Construction Ford, and again the qualifying order determined by a metric that takes into account your last race finish and your car owner point standings. So this will be the third start at this speedway for Cody Ware. 33-18. Shane Van Gisbergen driving the Jockey Chevrolet, making his first Cup start at Miami. Now, he did race here in the Xfinity Series last year.
Yeah, and I think coming to the green, I would rather be 3/4 of the way up in that top lane. I like this bottom groove if you can keep it from washing up the racetrack that far. But even washing up the racetrack that far, it lets you use that banking and be able to drive into that banking to help you get up off of the corner and almost turn it again as you get to the end of turn 2.
Again, this is single round qualifying. There is no transfer to the final round. This is it. 1 round, 1 lap. Van Gisbergen 32-74, top of the board.
It's so hard to explain how hard it is for these drivers, challenging to go out there and you got to immediately feel the grip level in your race car. That dictates how hard I'm going to drive it off into the corner, pick up the gas, aggressive with the wheel, all those different things. And oh, by the way, the last time I was on a racetrack, I was 1 inch from the wall. I know that's not going to be the fastest way around this thing as soon as the grip level comes up on the tires.
So here's the Bass Pro Shop Winchester Chevrolet for Austin Dillon, who has top 10 finishes in 4 of his last 6 races here.
Yeah, and it sure looks like the strategy in 1 and 2 is just going to be to drive it in there as far as you can, get to the middle of the corner and just let it wash up the hill and use that banking. I think right there Austin was down below that top seam and made it work for him.
The key is to not lose the momentum in the middle of the corner and get to that throttle pedal and get to it wide open as fast as possible. Make those straightaways as long as possible.
And it's just not going to feel good. It's not going to look good. It's not going to feel good. It's just how much can you make it faster than everybody else.
Noah Gragson next up. He has 2 Cup races at Miami with a best start of 16th here last year. He won an Xfinity race here in 2022. This is the Beefaroo Restaurants Ford.
Same kind of strategy there as the previous 2 cars. Drive in deep, wash up the hill.
Man, does a Beefaroo cheeseburger sound really good right now?
It does.
Maybe that nacho burger they're going to introduce next month honoring Noah Gragson.
That's cool. Gave him his own burger.
Top of the board, 32.10.
Hey.
Yeah, so everybody's picked up so far.
That's a lot.
That's 3/10 from where Noah was in practice on his fast lap.
So here's Cole Custer making his first Cup start at Miami since 2022. He won the Xfinity race here in 2017. Now this is the Autodesk HaasTooling.com Ford. A lot of synergy here because this is CAD CAM. Computer-aided design, that's Autodesk. Computer-aided manufacturing, that's Haas CNC. Perfect marriage.
I'm glad they're doing it. The computer part's where I struggle, and both of those had it in it.
It takes a long time for me to find the power button, typically, so it's hard to get started. That's what I'm saying.
I have to hand it to my wife and say, can you get me out of this mess I got myself in?
Second, 32.38 for Custer.
Yeah, the thing I saw at a Cole was he was up 1 groove getting into turn 1 compared to Noah.
Kyle Busch, 2-time Miami winner with a best start of 2nd here in 2018. He's been top 10 starting in 3 of the last 4 races this season. This is the Bank OZK Chevrolet. Didn't that start as Bank of the Ozarks? Well, it's Bank OZK now.
He hooked the bottom a little bit better than the rest of the cars. Didn't let it just have its head and float up in the center of 1 and 2, but wasn't as fast either, Kevin.
Yeah, and I think being able to slide through that first up into that middle banking and then into the rest of the banking has something to do with that. I think that definitely seems to be faster to enter on the bottom and slide up into a little later into the middle groove instead of just kind of halfway.
Busch is 2nd fastest, 32.36, and here is Carson Hocevar, or Bohocevar, if you wish. Every winner this year started with B, and that's what he asked for on social media. Started 15th, finished 9th here last year in his only Cup start here. The Ziegler Auto Group Chevrolet is the 77 this week.
And he's really the guy that showed off this groove through 1 and 2 last time of just driving it in there and just letting it have its head and drive up the racetrack to scrub speed.
Second, 32.30. That lap of Noah Gregson's is holding tough at 32.10.
And through 3 and 4 on coming to the checkered flag, Noah was as low as anybody on the racetrack and sliding all over the place. But I think not having to worry about that top groove momentum because you only have to get back to the start finish line.
Todd Gilliland started top 10 in 2 races so far this year. He's in the Love's Travel Stops Ford.
I like what you said. He was sliding around a little bit more. He was a little bit freer than the rest. This place is very tricky. You can run it around here and make some lap time a little bit free. But if you get tight, you're dead in the water.
Yeah, and you see right now, you see that sun pop back out. And a cloud will make a big difference here. And we definitely have some clouds off in the distance there that could go in and out of this practice or qualifying.
5th for Gilliland. Ryan Blaney will be the 10th driver on the clock, runner-up in the last 2 Miami Cup races, and the Atlanta pole winner. The Dent Wizard Ford for Team Penske, company that was started here in Miami 42 years ago.
I did that for a while.
You were a Dent Wizard.
Yep. I don't know that I could put the wizard behind my name.
I was going to say.
I rolled a lot of dents out. You tore as much stuff up as I did growing up. You had to figure out how to fix it. But it's definitely a great industry. It's changed the automotive world, to be honest with you. You know, selling cars and working around car dealerships. That was a
good exit by Blaney.
Big time turnaround to fixing dents in cars.
Second, 32-14. Again, Gregson hangs on to the top of the board after 10 drivers have qualified. Regan?
Mike, Austin Cindric, fresh off of the Craftsman Truck Series on Fox broadcast last night, where you were on pit road, did a fantastic job, but now back to your day job here. Qualifying coming up for you. How do you decide and when do you decide what line you're going to run when there's so many of them?
Yeah, it's definitely a buffet as far as choices there, but yeah, arms and elbows today. You know, in practice and probably even qualifying too, just trying to keep the car, keep the momentum right. But I think it's a fine line here, overstepping and hitting the line that you want. It's so line sensitive. So yeah, trying to put in a good lap, carry enough entry speed to get me in the next corner.
Good luck making the right choice at that buffet.
Yep, elbows up for Austin Cindric. All right, the next driver to go, one to keep an eye on, Eric Jones, who started top 5 in 3 of this year's 5 races. His best qualifying effort here so far is 7th. He's got a 3rd place finish here as well with his Family Dollar Toyota.
They certainly have the speed figured out with the Bullet. We got to figure out how to make it handle a little bit longer on a long run. But certainly finding that speed, Kevin, is extremely hard, especially against this competition.
I'd be really interested to see how they fix the hole in the floor.
There was that.
Yeah, Jones said they picked up something off the racetrack, put a hole in the floor, and under NASCAR official supervision, they were repairing that after the 10 minutes for qualifying prep time had expired, but NASCAR said, okay, you're good to go. And here he comes to make his qualifying lap.
See what his choice is here in the turn 1.
And get back to the gas with affirmative, sliding the tail around a little bit.
Yeah, and I still think that extra lane down, winding up in the same spot, but that extra lane down to just blow through that first part of the corner is the best way to do it.
Well, when he slid on the exit, you saw the time starting to lose. He's sliding through this corner as well. Not the lap that I thought I'd see out of the 43 in Eric Jones.
He had straightaway speed. He just touched 182 at the end of the back straightaway, but he is 6th fastest so far.
I think he'll be frustrated with that a little bit. Ty Gibbs need a good starting spot here. This car's good on a long run.
Well, he's had 3 starts here at Miami, and he started top 10 in 2 of the 3. Here's the Monster Energy Toyota.
I'd take a top 10 start. We know he has a long run speed. Just can't get buried in there. That's a really good illustration, Kevin. It's the first time we've saw the ghost car of how Gregson stayed a little bit lower, like you were talking about.
Yeah, and he did the same thing on this end down here in 3 and 4, and was
Had
able
trouble on that seam
to make it work.
Pounding the steering wheel a little bit on exit, but he's third.
He crossed that seam in 3 and 4.
29 P3 right now. Good job.
Yeah, you see him yelling at himself under the helmet. You saw his head jerk forward there. And from a driver's standpoint, you know when you slip something up, especially when you have a car that is that good.
Yeah, he missed that seam, and when he crossed it, you saw it in his wheel, hands on the wheel. The thing took off and made him tight a little bit. Had to pop back out of the gas for a second, got back to it, costing time in the center. That's what he's frustrated about.
So this is Zane Smith for front row. Started 19th here last year in his only Cup start here. Started top 10 twice this season, including a 7th at Atlanta. Here's the Aaron's rent-to-own Ford.
Carlos wagging his tail all the way through 1 and 2, 3 and 4 a little bit better.
Yeah, and you see he's making up time off the exit of the corner, but you just can't use that momentum as he goes 5th quick there. You can't use that full momentum to make the time all the way back up down the front straightaway. So the way that Noah cut that corner, even though it hurt him on the exit, that time that he cut, he only has to go back to the start-finish line. He doesn't have to carry the momentum all the way down the straightaway.
Bubba Wallace in the Columbia Sportswear Toyota. Started top 10 the last 2 Miami races. He was fastest in practice in Group 1 today, and he has 1 front row start here and finished 6th. Boy, Gregson really buried it into that corner, didn't he?
Yeah, and he stayed. Bubba entered a little bit higher. It's going to drive back to him a little bit on exit and make some of it back. You can see the momentum that he gained on the exit, but it wasn't enough.
3rd right now.
What takes me for Gregson takes me back to what the job he did in 1 and 2, Kevin. That's where his speed was gained. He's beat everybody by a car length and a half off of 2.
Yeah, if you're going to beat him, you're going to have to get through 3 and 4 and get off the corner, because that's his weakness.
Ty Dillon has 8 Miami Cup starts. Best start of the season, 7th in the Daytona 500. The C-Best Chevrolet. This is a family-owned company based in Florida, in Jacksonville.
And what I meant by that, Clint, that's if you can match 1 and 2.
You got to match. I'm with you. I was going to say, clean that up. You got to match 1 and 2, because we've seen everybody better than him a little bit in 3 and 4 drive back to him, but he smoked him in 1 and 2.
12th for Ty Dillon.
Going to listen in a Christopher Bell's interview, not really satisfied with his car, but again, track position is everything. You can't drive through them. We saw that in practice. Starting up front ahead of these guys fixes a lot of problems here. Good qualifying run from anybody helps the day go so much better.
First start in the Cup Series here for Las Vegas, Nevada's Riley Herbst. He finished top 10 in 5 of his 6 Xfinity races here. This is the Chumba Casino Toyota.
Same thing, 1 and 2. He drove in a lot deeper and beat him through to the center of 1 and 2, but the exit he gave up a little bit of speed.
7th for Herbst.
Definitely a bright car.
Yep. Progressive Insurance will be primary sponsor for 18 races this season for Denny Hamlin, who has 3 poles and 3 victories here in Homestead.
This is a great partner for them. It's a big company, big name driver. Exactly what they were looking for. Finally got it. Look at here.
Well, he sailed it in there, but he just didn't
pay the price.
Didn't get the front tires to turn and be able to get back to the throttle. So that's the tough balance of not really knowing from the end of that fall off to what you need in practice, but only one way to find out, and if it's going to stick, and that's to send it in there. That's always the fun part about qualifying.
That lap will leave Hamlin 9th for now.
These guys laughing about whose quarter panel is worse.
Yeah, right.
Where'd you hit it? Oh, I hit it over here. No, yeah.
That's
then
exactly
I hit it down there. Yeah.
John Hunter Nemechek in the Pi Barker Fire and Safety Toyota. He's finished on the lead lap in every race this season, a personal longest streak. Started 4th here in 2022.
Well, those are good streaks to start. You know, one of John's Hunter's pitfalls has been finishing those races, and to see them have more speed and put yourself in a position by finishing races allows the team to build and allows the team to be able to work on the cars instead of having to fix them every week.
Good lap.
Great lap.
Third fastest and the fastest Toyota so far. Noah Gragson quickest. The Fords of Gregson and Blaney at the top of the board. Here's Justin Haley. He'll be the final qualifier for Group 1. He finished a season best 14th at Las Vegas last week.
These cars have been qualifying well. His long run speed was good. Gets this thing started up front.
Started 10th here last year.
He'll be just fine. Got to the gas, kind of squirted to the center a little bit, had to lift back out of it on exit, losing some speed on the exit too.
Yeah, you see that time kind of look confused right there on the back straightaway. There's a huge bump in the middle of the back straightaway where the tires almost, well, they kind of do come off the ground, but the RPM will go up. So it kind of tricks the time into thinking that it's going faster than it does.
And the Gainbridge Chevrolet crosses the line 9th fastest for Justin Haley. All right, we'll move on to Group 2 qualifying. 18 drivers left to take their turn at the clock. Noah Gragson fastest.
I'm with the guy that was fastest on the last lap at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Josh Berry, the winner from last week. Josh, your last lap of practice here was a 34.70. You only have to go out there and pick up about 2.5, 3 seconds. How tough is that to do?
Yeah, it's always a challenge here. I mean, it's just amazing how much the tires fall off and how quickly you got to kind of reset and recalibrate for qualifying. But honestly, I felt pretty decent about my car. I thought we had, we fell off a little more than we wanted. We got stuck in a little traffic there, but I felt like that gave me a good time to kind of fill out the car and learn what I needed to do, needed better for tomorrow. So yeah, now we just got to go out and execute a good lap here, get a solid starting spot, and keep the trend going. Just can't say enough about everybody on this 21 car, Wood Brothers, and everybody at Ford for all they do. Obviously, Dex Imaging on the car for the first time this year. Well, hopefully we can give them a good run.
Mike, they've been fast on race day, but they've been fast in qualifying this year.
Let's see, fast on race day. That's F-O-R-D, right? Right, Larry? Josh becomes the 20th different driver to win in the Cup Series for the Wood Brothers, and the last 5 of those were first-time race winners. Harrison Burton last year, Josh Berry this year, so that's back-to-back seasons. The Wood Brothers have gone to victory lane for the first time since the mid-1980s, and Thursday they were all up at the Henry Ford Museum to debut their throwback scheme for Darlington, and wow, wait till you see it. Chase Briscoe, pole winner for the Daytona 500, started 13th here at Miami last year, finished 12th. He's won here in Xfinity, he's won here in trucks. It's the Bass Pro Spring Fishing Classic Toyota.
Well, they definitely need to get some consistency going with this 19 car. They've had all kinds of problems here and there. The speed's been okay. I would consider this a track that Chase could have a solid day just with how he runs the wall and the things that he does. This is going to be close.
Second by 15 thousandths of a second. Noah Gragson hangs on. Ricky Stenhouse will be next. Another new paint scheme, new sponsor. for Hayek Motorsports. This is the Better March Madness Chevrolet. Better picks, a new way to enjoy fantasy sports. Stenhouse started 5th here last October.
It's pretty interesting looking at these practice sheets of, you've got some guys that ran their fast lap on lap 1, some guys on lap 2, some guys on lap 3. And to me, that allows some of the different guys that ran their fast lap on lap 2 or 3 to pick up more speed in qualifying because they didn't get it all on lap 1 in practice.
.14th for Stenhouse. Tyler Reddick up next. He won this race last year from the pole with the last lap pass of Ryan Blaney, and won the pole at Coda earlier this year. Here's the Jordan brand Toyota for 23.11.
I like his up to speed lap there, Mike, right up against the wall. We've seen Tyler pick up a ton of time as he's gone through, and you see he's already ahead of Noah before he even gets to the corner. He's going to lose all that time, but his getting to the green line and throttle and everything that he did was definitely faster than what Noah did. This is where it gets interesting. Do you have enough time and space to make up that distance back to the start finish line? Not today.
No, 10th for Reddick.
Oh, he got in the fence.
Brad Keselowski started 10th in 13 of the last 14 races here. This is the Nexlizet Ford. That's a non-statin cholesterol medication.
Well, he needs to qualify better. That's kind of been the Achilles heel of what they've been doing this year, and it's got him into some trouble at a couple races, getting into accidents, and qualifying goes a long ways to making your day better, but it also gives you a chance to score points, and they haven't done much of that.
Whew, that thing was loose getting in the corner. He's actually turned right.
Keselowski 19th.
No, he's kind of like the modern day Clint Boyer. Might be a little cooler than you were.
He's got some pretty good locks going on. I like his hair.
You never grew your hair out like that? I've seen some.
I think I did once. It was terrible. Didn't work.
Michael McDowell won his 7th Cup pole last week in Las Vegas. His best start here so far is 6th. He's in the Delaware Life Chevrolet.
Did you ever grow your hair out?
My hair doesn't grow very much anymore, so.
That was too easy. Low-hanging fruit, I'm sorry.
You're like my 12-year-old. At least I have hair. Don't even start
he better not be making that joke very long. It's coming. It's in his DNA. He's in trouble. Keelan, it's inevitable.
15th for McDowell so far. Joey Logano in the Shell Pennzoil Ford started top 10 in 4 of the 5 races this year, including twice on the front row. But he's still looking for his first top 10 finish. This is the longest a defending Cup champion has gone into the season without a top 10. But he did win the race here in Miami. Homestead in 2018 to win the championship, and he does have a pole here.
It's time. It surprises me, you know, for you. It would surprise me if you said top 5, right? I would be like, yeah, I can see that. Top 10, not even a top 10 yet.
Oh. Led a lot of laps.
They have led a ton of laps, and usually qualifying puts them in a position, but his car was way down the charts, and that's going to put him in traffic. No front row start for Joey this week.
He's 6th so far and 3rd of the Fords right now. A.J. Allmendinger next up. He's finished top 10 in his last 3 Miami races and has a best start here of 5th. This is the Action Industries Chevrolet. They make products for garage doors and access points.
These guys were in the mix all week last week in the top 10. Vegas, another good track for AJ, and it's very interesting to me to see AJ's got these. He's got these very distinct good tracks, and this is definitely one of them.
Well, look at the exit of turn 2. It's been about as close as I've seen anybody to Gregson.
Fastest Chevy right now is Hocevar in 8th.
And you're right about last weekend. I mean, he was in the top 10 running strong all day long.
It's coming on.
Whoa!
Man.
Great exit.
Not a great exit.
No. 6th.
He was all over it until the exit. The thing got tight. He's tried to leave his foot in it, Kevin. It snapped and got loose. It was a good exit until it wasn't. Run out of real estate.
Didn't stick.
Didn't run out of real estate. Need track to be a little bit bigger.
Chris Buescher. Now let's take a look at that exit again.
You could see him coming across the racetrack, and the angle was not good. Had to pull on the wheel, keep it out of the fence, got loose on him. Did a good job of not losing a ton of speed, though.
So here's Chris Buescher in the Kroger Farm Rich Mozzarella Sticks Ford. Has 9 starts at Miami, a best start of 8th here in 2022.
Let you call that one 3 wide, crazy finish in the farm. What was it?
Farm Rich Mozzarella Sticks.
Faster.
You'll like those.
That's going to be a tough one, Kevin. I'm ready for it.
7th for Buescher.
We have a professional in here. I'm going to leave that to Mike.
All right, Christopher Bell up next with those 3 checkered flags on the roof of his Rheem heating and cooling Toyota.
Wasn't exactly happy with the long run speed of his race car. You know they made some adjustments here. You know he's going to make some adjustments in that car, just like I'm talking about, like I'm seeing on the exit of 2 here, Kevin. The only one that's better than Gregson off the exit of 2. Here we go.
He was fairly confident in his car and the things that he was very excited about going into qualifying, being able to try to mix this up and figure out where he needed to run on the racetrack.
Was disciplined getting in, easy in, hard off. Not going to do it. Dodged another one, Gregson. Wow, I was right.
And Bell is 11th. That will extend his string. He has never had a top 10 start here in Homestead. Gregson still on top. Big bullets to dodge here as we get to this next group of cars to qualify. I still like the Tyler Reddick line coming to the green. I think he's beatable. There's more speed there to get to the green flag better. Noah did a really good job through 1 and 2, but we saw Christopher Bell beat him off of turn 2 down the back straightaway. It's just that turn 3, where to go on the racetrack to be able to get that speed that Noah did. But I think that every car that goes out, it gets a little bit warmer and a little bit warmer. So the thing that you don't want to see right now if you're Noah is the cloud over the racetrack. And we see the back straightaway a little bit shaded going into turn 3.
Just need building a little suspense in here.
All right, Chase Elliott, runner-up at Miami in 2020. He has started top 10 in 3 of the last 5 here. This is the UniFirst Uniforms Chevrolet.
Wouldn't surprise me here. This car was extremely fast in practice.
got to the green really good, just didn't fire it in there like the 4 of Noah Gragson did.
Well, the green left the building. We are in the red, Kev.
Fastest Chevy so far is Allmendinger in 6th.
Gonna need a lot down here.
See the back slip out from Chase Elliott's car right there. Making up some time on the exit, but he just gave up so much in turns 1 and 2.
13th for Elliott. Kyle Larson leads all drivers in laps led at Miami, has 1 win here in 2022, started outside front row last year. It's the HendrickCars.com Chevrolet doing triple duty. Won the truck race last night. He'll run this afternoon in Xfinity. Where will he start in the Cup race Sunday?
I don't think a car that comes off of turn 2, not over the top at Gragson and that ghost car, is going to be able to run with him. I think there's a little bit on the table in 3 and 4, but you're going to have to be a lot closer than that in 1 and 2. He went all the way to the boards. Look at this.
Oh,
he's in the boards.
Touched the fence.
That's going to. He stayed in the gas though. He actually drove back to him.
Does that
in the wall?
you?
never lifted.
Imagine that. Kyle Larson's in the wall and never lifted.
10th for Larson. Here's a look at it.
Hey, he just.
Yep.
Leave your foot in it, buddy.
It rebounded and came off the wall. Pretty nice.
Ryan Preece up next for RFK. Matched his Cup best finish of 3rd last week in Vegas in the BuildSubmarines.com Ford.
Got loose getting into the corner, just like his teammate Brad Keselowski.
Lost all the time on turn 1 entry. I always thought turn 1 entry was one of those corners where you didn't want to dump the throttle for that exact reason. Kind of a slow rollout.
And because of his looseness getting into 1, he was a little bit more cautious getting into 3, lost a little bit more time.
Checking rear. P26.
Never what you want to hear on the radio when you're that late in the group.
But what you expect when that thing comes out from underneath of you that fast too. He was in trouble from the word go, turn 1.
Well, Daniel Suarez in the Freeway Insurance Chevrolet finished a season best 2nd last week in Vegas after starting 23rd. Won here in 2016 in Xfinity to clinch the championship.
Not a bad exit at 2. Got back to the throttle pretty good and early. Was in that 2nd groove, middle groove in 1 and 2.
And I really think that going out earlier helped Noah. I think as this sun has gotten baked on this racetrack and sits here longer and longer, I think that early.
I think he just did a good job.
I think he did a great job, and he had conditions that were definitely leaning into his favor.
Look outside right now. Speaking of conditions, turn 2 is in the shade, just like you were talking about.
So Suarez 28th. Here's his teammate Ross Chastain. 6 Miami starts with
good. Fired that thing off into turn 1 and just wasn't able to put the throttle down on the exit.
You can still see that ghost car in front of him though. Lost a lot of time down the back stretch. Slow to the throttle. He's going to continue to lose more speed. I had high hopes.
'21st for Ross. Austin Cindric next in the Menards Duracell Ford. Started top 3 in 3 of this year's 5 races. Finished a season best 6th last week on the 1.5 mile at Vegas.
So you see Austin as he's making his qualifying lap. You see this piece right here, Clint. That's actually a visor. And the way that the sun gets at this racetrack, it allows you to pull that up and down to be able to block that sun with being able to pull it up and down to shade your eyes a little bit.
I don't need to see a visor to see his exit speed off of 2 that he had with Gragson. Gave up a little bit of speed here, but seen driving back to him a little bit. Not quite going to get the job done, but that's a good start for Austin Cindric and company in the 2 car.
You sold it well.
5th for Cindric.
He was about as close as I've seen anybody on the exit of 2.
3 Fords, 2 Toyotas in the top 5 right now. Let's see what Alex Bowman can do with that. He started a season best 6th at Vegas last week. He's finished top 10 in 4 of the 5 races this year. This is the unrivaled league Chevrolet. a women's professional 3-on-3 basketball league that airs on TNT.
Looky.
It's coming.
First one I've seen, folks. Not only beat him, drummed him through 1 and 2. Don't slip up, no mistakes. Right on that seam, Kevin.
He's got him.
Sure does. Got that car rotated back to the gas. Both ends of the track. Bowman, Alex.
Well, look, you called it. You called it, Clint. I mean, 3/4 of this racetrack is now in shade. It does not take a lot for this racetrack and the ambient temperature to create that surface temperature to go down when those clouds come in.
Let's see if winning has anything to do with some confidence.
Yeah. So Bowman, the showman, the only Chevy in the top 7, top of the board. Here's the Dex Imaging Ford for last week's Las Vegas winner, Josh Berry. And Regan, what's happened with the temperature as well as the clouds?
Well, Mike, you guys are just mentioning the clouds, right? And I can tell you down here on pit road, it felt like 10 degrees immediately when those clouds rolled over. It was quick. I was standing with Chase Briscoe, and we both looked at each other like, wow, it's cooled off.
Well, I think that's exactly what happened with Noah Gregson. And look at the time gained right here with Barry as well.
Whoa.
He wasn't even in the picture and got through 3 and 4 way better. That entry of 3 is now under shade completely. Watch out. Let's see what Willie B can do. The last one.
So Josh Berry is second. Here's the Valvoline Chevrolet from Hendrick Motorsports for your Daytona 500 winner, William Byron.
A lot of shade out here. A lot of grip, Kevin.
He's definitely got a shot as he's
going to go for it.
Goes into turn 1 right here.
Discipline getting into the corner. Easy in, hard off. Watch his exit speed. Lost a little ground on the exit down the back chute. It's all going to come down to 3 and 4. Here we go.
183 into the corner.
Stayed high. Can he get it turned back down the hill? No can do.
And Byron is 5th. It'll be a Chevy Ford front row. Alex Bowman and Josh Berry, as Bowman has his 6th career pole and 1st of the season.
How about that Josh Berry?
Can't beat old Mo.
Old Mo and Gregson. That kid's walking off frustrated, but Noah Gregson, great lap. Held a lot of them off till right at the end. Couldn't hold off Mother Nature.
Larry Mack.
Well, Alex, I know you've got a good 48 car, but cool down just a little bit. That had to help.
Yeah, for sure. I think looking up, looks like we got some clouds, but yeah, I feel like we struggled a little bit there in practice on the long run, but really fast on the short run. Maybe Chuck Smash gave us some clouds. We lost him earlier this week, so thinking about the Leary family, and glad to get this Halide 48 up front.
Alex, y'all been hitting the ball right down the middle all year long. You've been lights out at the 1.5-mile racetracks. What's it going to take to seal the deal here tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, we've overcome a lot this year. I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of things we've had go wrong throughout our races, and honestly, like, those 7th place finishes are pretty good, all things considered. So yeah, just need to have everything go right and execute all day. You know, I feel like we've got some work to do for tomorrow in the long run for sure, but yeah, at least we're starting up front. We'll have a good pit stall and putting our best foot forward so far.
All right, Regan Smith, you got the guy on the outside of the front row.
That's right, Larry McReynolds. Josh Berry, the momentum continues on for you. A winner last week, of course, going to start on the outside of the front row this week. So what are the chances are a double up now after this qualifying effort?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, man, just so happy with everyone in this 21 team. I told them, man, they're making me look good right now. And just we got really good cars. And just thank you to everybody on the 21 team, everybody at Wood Brothers Racing, Team Penske, Dex Imaging for coming on board, starting on the front row is a good start. And, you know, all our partners at Motorcraft and Eero. It's been a fun start to this season. I just keep telling everybody, keeps asking me, we're just trying to keep it going. That's all we're trying to do. Keep doing the same things week in and week out and be prepared. And the car was really solid there. Congrats to Alex. You know, obviously he had a great lap, but you know, this is a great starting spot for us.
What a week it's been for you. Congrats.
So we'll have a Chevy Ford front row with Bowman and Berry. Ford and Toyota in row 2 with Gregson and Briscoe.
Yeah, and how about John Hunter Nemechek right there on row 4 there. Great qualifying effort, and as well as A.J. Allmendinger on row 5.
Busher Logano in 6, and Kyle Larson, who paced practice in Group 2.
I was
back
a
in
betting
14.
man. I think the winner comes out of this group right here. Ty Gibbs, great opportunity for him. Really fast in practice. Kyle Larson, you know he'll be there. Christopher Bell as well. Chase Elliott, very fast. How about Reddick? You know he knows how to run the boards.
Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Eric Jones. We thought he had a car that would have a little more speed in it than it did in qualifying, but all these guys have some work to do.
The RFK Ford's way back, but they've got some work to do. All right, so tomorrow, 400 miles. If you had to pick one, short run fire off or long run speed?
You got to tell me when the caution's coming out.
I'm taking long run speed all day. I just think that you
100%.
can get way off if you're not good on the long runs.
100%. You need a long run car here. If it bites you, it bites you. But I tell you, the season that we've had so far, it could bite you.
I want Alex Bowman's starting spot as well. Can I have that too?
Sure, why
How about
not?
last week's winner?
Let's take it.
Tomorrow, NASCAR Cup Series from Homestead Miami Speedway. Pre-race coverage 1:30 Eastern. The Straight Talk Wireless 400 is 3 p.m. on FS1. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Prime, where we'll have practice and qualifying coverage each week through the first half of the season, including next